morning. Welcome to Trail Blast. Here we have Mason Winter in studio and Kenneth Wilcox joining us today over Zoom. He is a WLAC 1990 champion. He's from West Fork, Arkansas, a returning contestant to King of the Ring, and previously won our Colonel Roger Emmick Award in 2019. So we're so happy to have you join us today, Kenny.
Well, thank you. It's good to be with you guys. It's exciting. It really is. I look forward to the King of the Ring every year. It's about the highlight of my year, actually. Outside of the little grandson I had born back in December, he's kind of about to take over. But other than that,
I guess we're losing to a good one.
That's a close
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
So you've been competing at King of the Ring. What keeps you coming back?
Well, this is kind of a goofy. The first one, I did not want to enter the contest. I hadn't competed in years. I had no desire to do it whatsoever. And so I purposely waited a couple of weeks past the deadline, and I called Brian because I did want to come, and I did want. Roger and I were really good friends. We competed together several years, and we won in back-to-back years, and I wanted to be there to honor him and his legacy, and because this was a huge dream of his. I don't think there was anybody. I think all of us enjoyed the contest. I always did, but I didn't live and breathe it like Roger did. Roger loved it, and he would. When I won, he was probably happier than I was, if that makes any sense, because we were just good friends, and a lot of people come up, shake your hand, congratulations, pat you on the back. Roger just hugged me, and he was just tickled to death. If he couldn't win, he was so glad I did, just one of them kind of guys. But anyway, so I show up there. Brian says, "No, you're not just coming and handing out water or nothing." He said, "You're going to get the contest." And I'm like, "Oh, man." So I came and I competed for the first time. And I mean, it just lit a fire in me like, I don't know, I love what I do. I really do. I mean, I still sell 3 days a week, and selling cattle is the greatest thing in the world. I thought for years I wanted to be a livestock auctioneer, and then I got acquainted with the car auctioneers, and I thought, oh man, the pay was much better and the work was much less. But I never did get accepted into that world. And now I'm so thankful I didn't, because, when you get to sit there and like, especially at Dodge during the King of the Ring, that barn is full of consigners, and the cattle you're selling is their entire year's work. A lot of times, a lot of those folks, it's their calf crop, and you look up there and there's Jim and Susie, and they've got their calves in there, and she's bouncing a little, 6-month-old on her knee, and they got a little 2-year-old trotting around there, and then they got a little 5-year-old boy over here with one of Dad's hats on, that's so big it's got his ears pulled out, looked like a 747, or something. And it's their whole year's work. And when you sell those cattle and they sell good, and you look up there and she's grinning from ear to ear because she knows now she can have that new washing machine that her old one's been broke for a year, and he's sitting there grinning because he can think, man, I can replace that old wore out baler that I fought all summer trying to get my hay up, and it sure beats the heck out of selling an old cold steel car that somebody brought to you only because they couldn't sell it. They's done with it, and so you get the satisfaction of that. And so when I showed up at Dodge and I competed, and like I said, and Coldwater was one of the first major jobs I had in the auction business right south of Dodge there. So I got a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances in that area. And it's just a kind of a homecoming, I guess I could say, and then you get to compete with guys that you haven't seen in a long time. I mean, man, we've had some legends at the King of the Ring. Ralph Wade won back in 1974, and he's been there, and Stenson Clance and Perry Ellison. I mean, talk about one of them baritone voices that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Boom. I mean, when he walks in the room and he speaks, everybody listens, and so, and I just, and it's a good time of year for me. Things have kind of wound down, we're usually, the markets are kind of slow, and I can get away, and I can bring my wife with me and come hang out in Dodge. There's a lot of nice things to do, a lot of things to see, I mean, the Prime on the 9, not a better place in the world to eat, I mean, super good food. And so, it's just, and it's relaxing. so many, like the world deal and stuff. I mean, that's serious. And they lock you up in a room somewhere and you don't see nothing, you don't hear nothing. And, it kind of steals from it. I mean, it's still a lot of camaraderie with the fellas, but man, when you can just sit out there in the crowd and watch the auction and watch your peers perform, the guys that you have a lot of respect for, and even the up and coming guys, I mean, there's a young kid that's been a couple of times to Dodge, name's Jacob Massey, that I'm telling you, I just love to watch him sell. This boy's so talented, so good, and he's going to win the world someday when he finds the right 5 judges that really like him, And I think he won the Roger Emmick deal last year, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know for sure, but anyway. But it's just fun. That's a poor excuse, but and it's exciting for me too. I mean, it's kind of like a in the auction business, if you've got an auctioneer's license, you have to go take CE courses every year, and your continuing education courses. I hate them. They're boring, But to me, this is kind of it rejuvenates me, each year, and kind of relights that fire and gets me excited about the auction business.
Well, that's so good to hear. I mean, we love that you guys are so excited about coming out for it and look forward to it. I mean, part of what we wanted to do with this was give you guys a chance to have a reunion and come together and enjoy the weekend. So I'm happy It's coming across like that.
Well, Roger, that's like I said, there was nobody that enjoyed the competitions any more than he did. And I knew, he'd always wanted to do this. And I was, when you guys decided to start doing it in his honor, I thought, man, it just can't be any better than that. And I know that the only sad thing about it is he's not here to enjoy it with us, because I'm telling you now, he would be on top of the world right now. He really would.
Oh, yeah. It's so cool to hear you talk about him and you got your friendship that you had with him. What did it mean to win that Roger Emmick Award?
Now you're going to fool around and make me cry. I'm a sentimental old guy, I got a drawer full of belt buckles back there. I got trophies all over the walls, and I don't wear the belt buckles because I'm so fat nobody can see them and they hurt my belly. And I've got a world championship ring. You don't see it anywhere. But when your peers, judges are one thing, and they're all nice guys and they do as good a job as they possibly can and they pick what they like that day. But when the guys that you have competed against, the guys that have been down the same road you've been down, when they pick you and say, this is my pick, I'm sorry, it don't get any better than that. It's just awesome, and everybody that's ever won it, every auctioneer that's ever won the Roger Emmick Award says the same thing. You can have that major trophy, you can have that big check, that stuff's gonna be gone in a day or two, but knowing that your peers picked you, that's it. And you can't, as far as I'm concerned, I'm done. The only reason I'm coming and competing is just for the fun, because there's nothing I could win that would promote me or do anything for me any more than what I've already done. And I don't mean that in a boastful way, but I have a world championship buckle. I have multiple top 10s and all this kind of junk, and and I have the Roger Emmick Award. So what more could you want out of life? I've got a great family. I've got a great relationship with my Lord and Savior. I've got a new grandson. I've got 2 wonderful kids. Life is good. It really is.
That's so great to hear. And we love having you come back every year, Kenny. It's such an honor. It's great talking to you today, too. What got you started in auctioneering?
I'm probably one of the few people in the entire livestock auction business or any auction business that never had a desire to be an auctioneer. Never wanted to. My uncle was intrigued with it. He was crazy about it. And he, when I was probably 13 years old or something, 12, 13, long in there, him and his wife got a divorce and he was all alone. And I spent a lot of time with him, and he had an old cattle truck, an old bobtail truck, and we hauled pigs and stuff up and down the road. And I rode with him quite a lot. And so he talked to an old man that was a friend of his that was an auctioneer into teaching me a little bit. And he gave me 2 pieces of paper that he'd typed out on an old typewriter in Cursive. Have you guys, either one of y'all, ever seen a Cursive typewriter?
I
No.
can't say I have.
You'd have to go to an antique shop to find one. But anyway, so I studied them two little pieces of paper. It just basically told me about filler words and how to build a chant. And I did it strictly to entertain my uncle. And of course, then I did the labor sale at church or at the school, and pie suppers at the church, and white elephant sales in the community, and the kind of things you get, benefits and little things, just because, and still had no desire. And a fella built a little car auction and a little nighttime car auction, a little junk sale over, and I helped him some, and worked at another car auction, checking in cars. And they let me sell the reruns at the end of the night, the 8 or 10 cars that didn't get sold the first time, and I'd go in and sell them. And like I said, still no desire, really. It was just something I did. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And a sale barn at Grove, Oklahoma, one Friday night called, and they had tried everybody in the world. I mean, they couldn't find anybody. Everybody had a farm sale or something. Their auctioneer had an appendicitis attack. So I go over and go to sell, and I sell about 4 weeks while this guy's getting healed up. And when he come back to work, the guy that owned it said, he said, "You've got a little ability." He said, "If you'd like to stay on here," and he said, "I'll kind of pay your gas money to come over here." So I did. Well, the money man behind that thing, Mr. Don Taylor, him and Sam Mossart, bought the sale barn in Coldwater, and they brought me to Coldwater so they wanted me to work about a month, and they were going to try out some local guys and see who they wanted to hire, and I stayed. They never hired anybody, and there I was, and it went from there. I've worked 30 some odd, I had them counted up once upon a time, 30 some odd livestock markets, 3 different video auction companies. It's all I've ever done. And I honestly, and this is going to sound really silly, I've always enjoyed it. I've always liked what I did and everything. Like I said, I really tried to get in the car deal, never could get accepted, and no kidding, the King of Ring, what was it, 5 years ago when you had the first one?
Yes, sir.
That lit a fire and a passion in me. I mean, if you can imagine at 60 years old, getting a new fire and a new passion. But I think that's the first time I really realized how much I loved it and how good I really had it, I mean, it was just always something I had done, and like I said, now, if it wasn't for this little old farm to take care of and I could find them, I'd go back to selling 6 days a week. I would, I mean, at one time there, when I first got to Coldwater and picked up several more sale barns around, and I was driving 1,355 miles a week.
Wow.
And selling. And,
the fuel was probably a little cheaper back then too.
Oh yes. Yeah. I went through cars pretty fast. But I couldn't buy a new one, and I'd buy an old $500 or $600 car, and I'd just drive it till it quit me somewhere. I'd get out of it and then go get me another one. But yeah, it's I don't have any regrets. I've loved it, and the cattle people, they're good people, and like I said a while ago about when you do a good job for them, they appreciate it, and you've accomplished something. A lot of the other lines of auction work, if you're in the real estate business or selling cars or, selling estates, I mean, a lot of that's not fun work because you're brought in at a time when things are not good. You're a liquidator or somebody that's settling a problem, but you're not. When you're a livestock auctioneer, really you're kind of at the peak when people have put their trust in you to now, not always, but a lot of times it's an entire year's work, and when you stop and think about that, you can pat yourself on the back and put yourself on a pretty high pedestal, as an auctioneer and as market operators, I mean, when you kind of look at it from that perspective, it makes it enjoyable, to know that you get the opportunity to help someone, to serve someone, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So where are you selling at these days?
I sell at Holdenville, Oklahoma, for Mike Cantrell on Mondays. And I sell at a small sale in northeast Oklahoma at Veneta, Oklahoma. it's under new management. They've had it about a year. The Carroll boys, Tommy and Phil Carroll and their old dad ran that thing for years and years and years. I mean, many decades. And they finally, Phil and Tommy are both in their 80s, and they finally decided to sell it last summer. And so anyway, I sell it there. And then I work at Siloam Springs, Oklahoma, at the Benton County Livestock Auction on Thursdays. And it's a pretty sizable sale. We had, I don't know, 1,500 yesterday.
That's
and
pretty
in the
solid
fall
run.
year, yeah, in the fall year, we'll have 3,000 to 4,000, when the calves really start moving. So
spending a lot of time in Oklahoma for somebody living in Arkansas.
Listen, I have lived in Arkansas and in Texas. One of those two, well, in my short stint, I lived in Coldwater up there for a couple of years. I've never resided in the state of Oklahoma, but I have spent more time in Oklahoma than any place else in my entire life, because I've traveled through there, going backwards and forth from Arkansas to Texas and from Arkansas to Kansas. And then even when I lived in Texas, I sold at Diamond, Oklahoma, Beaver, Oklahoma, Texoma, Oklahoma, Then when I first moved back to this area, I sold at South Coffeyville, Oklahoma, and Bristow, Oklahoma, and down at Fort Smith, Arkansas, but it's actually in Oklahoma. It's right there on the line, So I've worked probably more sales in Oklahoma than any place else, and never lived there.
A lot of time on the road for you there, Kenny.
Yes, sir. A lot of windshield time.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Yeah. And that comes in handy sometimes. I mean, I can get in the car and just drive, and people say, you drive it's like 3 hours to Holdenville. You drive 3 hours to work, and I'm on a board with the elders there at church with a guy that lives about a mile from the church, and he lives about a quarter of a mile from the school where he's the principal. And so he thinks if you drive 10 miles or anywhere, you've gone a long ways, He just can't fathom that I drive, 180 miles to work,
What keeps you busy during those car rides?
A lot of times I'm just thinking, and I'll listen to some sports talk radio once in a while. Don't listen to music or much or anything, and sometimes I don't even have the radio on. And when I can sit and think about things that I'd like to do on the farm, or, we've got a little 600-acre farm here and got a handful of cows, and so a lot of times I'm just kind of plotting out what I'm going to do, this week, what gate needs to be fixed. Do I need to move these cows here? Or, when am I going to cut that field of hay? And or contemplating things at the auction that, that you're going to, or one that, something that's going on somewhere. You think, well, what could we do there, or something, just silly things, really.
Anything and everything.
Yeah.
You can relate to that.
Yeah.
My wife absolutely hates it when I take, because that's when my mind seems to work the best. And so I get in the car and start down the road, and I start calling her. Hey, did you know that you need to do, I start lining out chores for her, and my son both. They just hate it when I get on the road, because I start dreaming of things for them to do,
There's something to that. I swear. We drive around all the time. That's like the best conversation time, best thinking time.
A lot of the to-do list always comes in from Dad, too, when he gets on the road. Yeah. Well, Kenny, we're about to wrap it up. Do you think you could give us a little bit of your auctioneer, your banner?
You want to hear a little banter this morning?
Yes, sir.
All right, sell that load of steers right there. And I'm at $140 to bid, 40 to buy. I'm at 140 here, one. I'm at $1 to bid, one to buy now, two. Did a bid two and two, $2 now, two. Bid get two. I sold them 141. Winners livestock for 141.
Woo,
sounds like you're ready to go. All geared up for King of the Ring already.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm really excited.
Well, Kenny, we're excited to have you out, and we're just under the 50-day mark now, so we'll be here before we know it.
Good.
Well,
yes, sir.
Have a good rest of your day, and we'll be in touch shortly. Get you all
right,
geared up and ready to get out to Dodge.